my fellow Love and Deep Space Battle nerds, it's so nice to have you here. My name is Peach and welcome to a video guide for our favorite Prince of Darkness, Xavier, King of Darknight. With involves everything everywhere all at once kind of explanations of our companion skills, I'll try my best to break down his kit into easy-to-digest bits so you can fully understand how his kit works and to unlock his maximum potential in battle content. So make sure to like and subscribe if you like videos like this and want to see and learn more about Love and Deep Space combat. Starting with the basics, King of Darknight stellactrum is red, Xavier's third main color, and his damage scales of attack plus HP. This means that when selecting him as a companion for battles, our protocols should have HP substats to further enhance his damage. Attack is welcome too, of course, but as it is a staple in all the companions' kits, it is more easy to come by in comparison with HP, as it is a more specific substat that only certain companions use. For memories, we can try to equip ones with HP talents. You can check that by tapping in the exclamation mark in the right side of the memories details, but I would always prioritize matching stellactrums first before matching our companions' scalings, because the damage increase of matching stellactrums overshadows the potential damage increase of equipping an HP-based memory of another color just to match the scalings. So remember, our priority should always be matching the stellactrums. Now let's go over what makes his kit unique, and that is his passive skill, Coronation. Oh well, we have another enhanced mode here. I wouldn't be surprised now if Saint's future myth has this kind of ability too, as it seems to be the next playstyle archetype Info will be embracing for future myths, or at least for the current myth cycle. To simplify Xavier, King of Darknight's passive, let's divide it in two intrinsically connected parts, one part being the enhanced mode Darknight Coronation, and second, Last Words Charging Bar. First, once we enter the battlefield, we get granted the extra skill Darknight Coronation that starts with a 30-second cooldown. Once available, when we activate it, we enter the Darknight Ring state, which has a duration of 9 seconds. During this state, Xavier's attacks are buffed, and using his support skill will unleash additional AoE attacks called Lumenflora. They deal 720 plus 384% attack plus 35% of our max HP. Our active skill, on the other hand, is transformed to the Chosen One's Blessing. It casts an attack called Radiant Ripples, which deals AoE damage equal to 520 plus 277% attack plus 25% of our max HP, and has an initial cooldown of 13 seconds. We can use this transformed skill up to 3 times in Darknight state. For the second part, when we are not in the Darknight Reign state, let's call it normal mode from now on, you'll see that as time progresses, the bar under our health bar is slowly charging. This bar shows the accumulation of last words and is divided in 3 equal parts. These are our last word stacks. When we cast our active skill while in normal mode, it will consume one of our last word stacks, granting us in exchange a flower that we will see floating behind our MC's back. This is a Lumenflora stamen, and we can have up to 3 of these golden flowers. At the same time, every time we use our active skill, it will reduce the cooldown of the skill Darknight Coronation by 4 seconds. After we cast our skill, there is a small window of time of 2.7 seconds in which we can cast our active skill again if we have enough last word stacks, gaining 1 Lumenflora stamen per stack consumed. Having 3 Lumenflora stamens before we enter Darknight Rain state is extremely important because each flower reduces the initial cooldown of the transformed skill, the Chosen One's Blessing, by 3.4 seconds, meaning if we have 3, the cooldown will be reduced to 2.8 seconds, allowing us to use the skill the 3 times in the duration of Darknight state. Now that we know all the details about his passive skill, we can see in perspective that his kit is based mostly on the use of our active skill, as we have to use it as much as possible both in normal mode and in the Darknight state. We have to keep this in mind when we talk about rotations later in the video. Now, instead of going through Xavier's other skills, I would like to cover first his dual ranking effects, the ones we activate once we get multiple copies of his 2 solar memories. This is because they're heavily influenced by Xavier's passive, and I want to stay on topic to avoid any possible confusions. Starting with our base dual ranks buffs, besides the standard 8% damage increase and 8% less damage taken, we get the following special buffs from King of Darknight. In normal mode, when our active skill hits an enemy, it reduces Xavier's support skill cooldown by 5 seconds. And when we land a charged attack, we gain a buff that speeds up blast towards charging for 10 seconds. For dual rank 1, we have the usual Ardent Oath charge speed increase by 20%, and exclusively for King of Darknight, we are granted the following buffs. While in Darknight state, we will become unstoppable, meaning we are immune to interruption, and using our active skill resets Xavier's support skill. At the same time, our active skill damage is increased by 40%. In normal mode, using our Resonance skill speeds up the last word charging for 10 seconds, the same effect we get when hitting with our charged attack. For dual rank 2, we get 1 extra energy charge, the stars we consume to use our skills. And additionally, while we are in the Darknight state, we ignore 12% of the enemy's defense, and we restore 2% HP per second of the Darknight state duration, meaning an 18% of our max HP in total. And finally, for dual rank 3, the 8% damage increase is accompanied by the following. When we use our active skill generating Radiant Ripples, Xavier will generate Radiant Ripples as well. And in Darknight state, using our active skill to cast Radiant Ripples will increase Xavier's Lumenflora damage by 6% up to 36%. This buff ends once we go back to normal mode. After tackling that, we can continue to the other skills. His support skill Royal Seal has a 15-second cooldown. When casted, Xavier will grant us a stack of last words. Once we are in the Darknight state, the cooldown of his support skill will be automatically reduced and be ready to use in 5 seconds. After the Darknight state ends, the cooldown will again be reduced, allowing us to use Xavier's support in 5 seconds. The damage dealt by this attack is based on 364 plus 194% attack plus 17% of our max HP. After a perfect dodge, in its empowered form, Xavier deals additional damage equal to 216 plus 115% attack plus 10% of our max HP, resulting in 580 plus 309% attack plus 27% of max HP in total. For his resonance skill Lumenflora Grace, as usual, the cooldown is 15 seconds, and we need 2 energy charges to be able to cast it. This attack deals 1767 plus 942% attack plus 84% of our max HP of damage, and can destroy 1 protocol shield stack. If we are fully stellactrum matched, we will be able to break 2 stacks instead of 1. For his Ardent Oath Royal Decree, without Oath Recovery Boost protocols, they have a cooldown close to 67 seconds, so the time for this attack to be ready fully depends on the percentage of Oath Recovery Boost that we have in our protocols. This is the strongest attack, dealing damage equal to 1800 plus 960% attack plus 86% of max HP. Now let's talk about the weapon that we get after obtaining Xavier King of Darknight as our companion, Final Resound. I will skip the basic attacks because they are, as usual, 4 maximum strikes plus a charge attack, so there is nothing groundbreaking about them. Instead, let's go ahead and talk about the weapon's passive and active skill. First, our passive skill, Procession. This passive grants us 0.45 energy charges when we hit an enemy for the first time with our active skill. When casting our active skill, we become resistant to interruptions, and if we take any damage, it will be reduced by 10%. And while in Darknight state, our damage is increased by 8% and our damage boost to weakened is increased by 8% as well. And our active skill, Final Elegy, it has a cooldown of 12 seconds and deals AoE damage based on 351 plus 187% attack plus 16.8% of our max HP. If we use our active skill within 2.7 seconds thanks to the last word stacks, our active skill deals enhanced damage equal to 376 plus 200% attack plus 18% of our max HP. Okay, now we can start talking about the best combat strategies when selecting Xavier King of Darknight as our companion. I know I said we would talk about rotations, but I have to confess that even as a battle girly, I don't really like rotations. I truly have a hard time trying to remember and following them, as I find them quite restrictive, so it doesn't feel right for me to make one either. One of my goals when I started making videos was to explain things from another perspective and in a way that I will appreciate it if I was a viewer myself, so I want to offer you another approach. Instead of rotations, I prefer to use what I call an ability priority system. What I mean with this is that I put more focus on understanding which abilities or parts of the kit are the most impactful or deal the most damage, and then I prioritize using those as often as possible, instead of following a strict list of actions. That way, I get the flexibility I want without sacrificing the maximum damage output that a rotation can offer us. Having said that, let's talk about our ability priorities. First, Xavier's passive relies heavily on the use of our active skill, both in normal mode and in Darknight state, so we should use it as much as we can. Second, using our active skill in a rapid succession in normal mode depends a lot on the last word's charge, so to speed it up, we should try to use our charged attack and Xavier's support skill as much as we can, so that we can get the 3 Lumenflora stamens as fast as possible before entering the Darknight state. To these ability priorities, we cannot forget to add our number 1 general battle priority. That is, if we have shields, we need to break them as soon as possible, and that means we should use our resonance skill off cooldown. How would these priorities look in battle? At the start of battle, I would recommend you to start immediately with a charge attack and then use our resonance skill on a shielded enemy, if there is any. This is so we can take full advantage of the 10 seconds of increased charge speed of last words while the animation for the resonance skill is ongoing. To further increase our stacks of last words, use Xavier's support skill off cooldown. In the meantime, we can normal attack to our heart's contempt, paying attention to the charge speed buffs so we can sprinkle a charge attack once in a while to keep it up. By this point, our last words bar should have close to 2 stacks ready. Here we can make a choice. We can use our active skill twice and then wait for the other stack to be ready and use it again after the cooldown, or wait for the 3 stacks to be ready and use our active skill 3 times, obtaining the 3 Lumenflora stamens at once. As I said, we can choose, because the only important thing to consider is that we should have 3 Lumenflora stamens before we enter the Darknight state. This is to decrease the cooldown of our transformed active skill, so we can use it as soon as possible when we are in this enhanced state. Another detail that I want you to keep in mind is to try and remember to always use our resonance skill before we enter the Darknight state. This is very important because the casting animation of our resonance skill is around 4 seconds, and if we enter the Darknight state and then we go to break the shields, we'll waste almost 45% of the enhanced state, making all our previous efforts of getting the Lumenflora stamens in vain, because we won't be able to use our transformed active skill the 3 times that we should. So yeah, let's make sure to break the shields before activating the Darknight state. For the rest of the battle, we should be keeping the same priorities in mind. Using charge attack for last word's charge speed buff, using Xavier's support skill for last word stacks, use our active skill to get Lumenflora stamens until we get 3, break shields, and then boom, cast Darknight state. In regards to when would be the best time to use Ardent Oath, in theory, the best time would be while we're in the Darknight state, as in his passive description, it says that Xavier's attack are empowered. Sadly, they don't specify by how much his attacks are buffed, but every little help counts. That would be my ability priority system, kind of like a rotation for Xavier King of Darknight. Remember not to be too hard on yourself if you forget the order of his priorities. I totally mess up things sometimes too, so don't put too much pressure on doing a perfect run. It's a game and our priority should always be to have fun. Alright, my adorable battle nerds, I think this is all for today. I hope this kit breakdown was helpful. If you think I missed something, or if you have any questions about Xavier King of Darknight's kit, let me know in the comments below and I'll try my best to reply as soon as possible. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you left a like or a comment, as it encourages me to keep making more content like this. And if you'd like to see more kit breakdowns or more Love and Deep Space Battle content, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any future uploads. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and hope to see you again in my next video. Ciao ciao!